Hey everybody, this is Jeanette, and welcome very much to my classroom. I thought instead of fixing myself up each time, I would just take a picture of myself and just throw up there. It makes it a lot easier. So, anyway, getting started with this series. I call my series Love is Blind because if you find yourself in love with certain people, you will not be able to see the truth behind what you're shown. And I'll go more into detail and stuff about that later. But I thought I would tell you a few things about myself first of all that nobody really knows about me. I have not told anybody about them. I keep this stuff to myself. It was some things that other people have said about me. I didn't know any of these people very much. I went to see them. These were psychic people, actually, different ones. One was a prophet in a church. I still think prophets are psychics, actually. I don't see any real difference between that. But anyway, I lived in England for a long time. And I was told about this German lady, Dusk Rainer Officer. She was living in England, though, in Ipswich. I went to see her, and she used the crystal ball to gaze, to focus on, is what they do. They still see it in their mind. I don't think they actually really see it in a crystal. They view things like a video playing. But anyway, she said that she saw that I was moving around a lot, and it had to do with work. And I told her that yes, that was true, that I did domestic work and I moved around a lot with the families, different families I worked for. She said, I change people by the things that I say and I do. And I'm hoping that a lot of people, these videos, that will happen. In a good way, that people will get something out of this, out of all these videos. I am putting a lot of time and effort into these, many hours. Anyway, the second person, Dennis Sheffy, and he goes by the name of the Mystic, and he is in New Jersey. He told me that my destiny was understanding. I didn't know what he meant at the time, but I do now. I have an amazing understanding of situations where other people may not. I can see things where other people can't. The higher self, which you'll find out in my hypnosis videos, they said I have more understanding than most people. These are many years apart, actually. All this stuff is happening a long distance apart from each other. So it's like two people are saying that. Well, anyway, the psychic man, the prophet, up in Pennsylvania. I was up there for a few years. And I went with a friend to a Bible study group at the preacher's house. And after the group, after the session that we had, this prophet, he would go around to each person and would say what he was picking up from each person or what. And when he got to me, he said I had a covenant with God. Well, I couldn't understand what he was saying. It sounded like Greek. The words were like didn't sound like English. It was very confusing. He repeated himself about 4 times, and I still didn't understand what he was saying. And so somebody else said, he said, you have a special covenant with God. When the frequency changed in the voice, I was able to make out what it was. This has happened to me several occasions, actually. But I told him, I said, well, what does that mean? And they said, you have a special relationship with God. And I said, yes, that's true. Years ago, I didn't tell them, but years ago, I had made a pact with God. And I'm going to tell you in a few minutes what all that is. My son got into spiritual things, and he met a lady named Tammy Decker here in San Antonio, Texas, and I got a telephone reading from her. She's one of the best psychics that I've ever met. Anyway, she told me that I was a spiritual master. I did not understand even back then, what that was, what that consisted of. I didn't have any idea at all. But as you will see, as we go through all of these sessions and stuff, a lot of things that come out will be connected to that. It takes many, many lifetimes actually to get there. I said that they must have chosen this for me, and the thought form came back and said, no, you chose this for yourself. I have a lot of thought forms that are actually communication with the other side. I can be talking about one subject and a lot of stuff will come out. I've got myself recorded, actually just letting the recorder play. It's quite amazing stuff to hear and listen to. I may do a video of that, just recording that so you can hear what that's like. Because as the stuff flows, I don't get stuck for words like when you're trying to say something and you can't. So I have all this stuff written down. It's scripted, actually. And it's like little clues I have written down. And then when I hit on certain words, then I'm hoping that I can remember enough to tell the story behind that. It is very complicated. So I try to keep stuff written down so I can get organized about this. Okay, well, that was what people had said about me. There's a lot of spiritual stuff in there. And at the time, we're going back over 20 years ago when all this stuff started. And as time has gone on, I can see where there's a few different things. The understanding that a lot of other people don't have or grasp or whatever, that's part of the spiritual master thing. That's one thing, that you would have more of an understanding for things. As the things come, I will tell you that that's part of the spiritual master thing. Spiritual master thing. I can't just, off the top of my head, tell you exactly what all of that is because it's so much different things. Okay, well, one day I laid down on my bed, and I think that it was a self-hypnosis. I asked God outright. This was many years ago. It must have been at least 10 years back, before I knew about the stuff that we're going to be talking about in these videos. But I asked God, I wanted to know the truth behind everything. And I closed my eyes and I lay down on the bed. I asked that a couple of times. And I was shown several things. The first thing, I was shown a big round energy source. And I believe that that's the one that our spirits come from, that people call source. It looks like the sun. You get a very warm and loving feeling from it, very comforting feeling from it. And that's where our eternal spirit, our true self, actually is from. At the end of days, when whatever it is we're here to do and stuff is over, I believe that we will all go back to Source. I can't tell you too much about that, but there's a lot of books out there. There's a lot of YouTube videos about Source. So if you're interested in that, you can find out more information about that being. But anyway, I saw myself before it, and I said, I will help you build your empire. Now we know that God has kingdoms, has a kingdom. But I didn't say I will help you build your kingdom. I said I will help you build your empire. Kingdom is something that you have, and then an empire is adding to that to build that up and onto that. I now understand what that is. And what that is doing this to help educate people, and maybe this stuff is on the right track and people can learn what some truth is behind what I have to say. It's very important for people. I wouldn't be doing this. I have fibromyalgia. I don't feel well most of the time. I don't sleep well. I have headaches all the time, and yet I feel compelled to do this. And that brings me to the other thing that I told him. I said, put the want, urge, and desire in me, and I will do it. Because if you have a want, urge, and desire to do anything, that motivates you to do whatever in life. And I would do it, no questions asked. And it seems like this is the thing that I was hit with. It's very strong. It's like almost an obsessive thing. It could be late at night, and I can be trying to get to sleep, and something will hit me that I need to do something or another in connection to these videos, and I will get up and do that. So, so it's like I'm really dedicated to this very strongly, and it's almost like it's a calling from God. That's the way I can't see it really any other way. If anybody else can, feel free to fill in the blanks down below. But the second thing that I was shown, there was a group of beings, and I call them the elders. They were sitting around a table. It looked like maybe there were 7 of them. I didn't see the faces clearly, but I could sense that they were all men. And I asked, why are you all male? And it came back that, like I said in a thought form, it's almost like you don't speak. It's you just use your mind to communicate, like mental telepathy. They said it's because we're all male. The reason that they're all male is because they're all male, but that's not what that means. It means that they were chosen for that job, and they just happen to be the male gender. And they were just chosen for that. They just happen to be male. So it's interesting how they respond like that, because the higher self, whom you'll hear about in my hypnosis sessions, they say it's very hard for them to understand how we speak. And you'll get to hear them. I'm going to do videotape of a lot of, there's about 5 or 6 tapes that I have to go through and take things off of, actually, and explain them. But you're going to find those really interesting. What's on there? Let's see. And that was basically it. It's like I felt like they were males, and they told me that. The last thing I was shown was I was embraced by, it was another male, actually, and I came up to his waist. He was a very big individual, and I came up to his waist. And I got the overall feeling it didn't matter what I did down here on earth, I was still loved and accepted. Years later, I was told through the higher self, and through a hypnosis session that was my guardian angel, actually. And his name is Arthur. I have never spoken to him yet. I don't feel a need to. If I feel a need to call on, then I will call outright and see. I need to actually find out if that's true. It was a client I put under that I asked their higher self what the name of my guardian angel was, and they said Arthur. Mine didn't say that. This other person said that. So if I need to find out, go back in there. You find out different things from these beings. But they're connected with the hypnosis, and you're going to learn a lot about those beings, and I believe they're called the Watchers in the Bible, actually, and they do that. They watch us 24/7. But I don't want to get too much off of track here. We'll talk about them later. Okay? What I was shown here when I asked to see the truth behind everything, and I was shown these three specific things. This is for everybody here in the world. It's not just for me. The first is source. That's where we all come from. So everybody needs to know that, basically, that's where you come from. And as far as building the empire, it is for all of us to do the best we can to help mankind out. Okay? In any way that you can. And a lot of people want to know what their calling is. Well, believe me, when it hits you, you're going to know. It's like this. It's like amazing. Is it a fluke that my son went out and got this movie camera he said he just wanted to tape his dog and stuff, and he probably won't ever use it again. And yet I'm having to use it like crazy for this project. And he got me a new computer also that I did not ask for this stuff. It just, it just turns up like this. So things are sent to you when you need them also. The calling and everything. I would tell people, just get on with your life, and it will show up on its own when it's time. I think you have to have the knowledge from different places over many years, over 20 years. I've gotten, knowledge from different places that I've put together now. Over this past couple of months is what really came together like a landslide. And I'm going to go through all of that stuff, and it's going to be several videos. Okay, well, the second thing on this is that council. That council of elders is the ones that you stand before during each incarnation down here. They help you sort out your life review and the whole 9 yards. If you want to know more about life reviews and stuff, there may be some in my hypnosis, but there's also other places you can find out about that stuff. And I'll go over that later with other people, maybe in a video just on that. You can find out so much through the hypnosis, though. It's a really good thing. So please don't miss that. It's going to take me a while to get that together because I have to go through about 6-7 videos to get the main things that you need to listen to. Yeah. And the last thing was, it doesn't matter what we do down here, we are still loved and accepted. And that's for everybody. So the truth behind everything is you're an eternal spirit. Your new albums. What's this? Check out your new albums. I don't know where that came through. I guess the internet. I think I should unplug the internet off of this because I don't need it. That might be a good thing to do. I don't want any interruptions. And I forgot to turn my telephone off on silence mode. Yeah, well, you ain't no longer connected. There, now no more interruptions. I hate that because I don't like to interrupt the students, you guys, whenever you're focused on something. I don't like to do that. Yeah, what I was saying is, like what I've said, doggone it. We're all eternal beings. And between each incarnation, You deal with the council. At the end of this era, there's a main thing that's going to happen. And I'll talk about that later. I don't want to say anything about that now. These beings are a main part of that. They play a great part in our lives in between lifetimes and stuff. They help us to guide us and stuff. And the third is we are loved. It doesn't matter what you do down here. I think the reason it doesn't matter what you do down here is because you incarnate so much. It's that spirit that goes in and out of the babies. It isn't that your body does. Your body's just a vessel that your true self, that eternal spirit, inhabits. And we're going to show you more about that. And through the hypnosis, you'll understand what your eternal spirit is. That's a really good video. It explains a lot of stuff. Okay. Yeah, and I guess that's for me. If you have any questions about certain things, please just put them in the comments below and try to be civil, because I don't put up with a lot of silliness. People are here to learn, and that's what we're trying to do, learn from each other. And so I just delete people that try to cause trouble or whatever, or upset people. And I will tell any of the students, if you read somebody's off-snide remarks, don't put any energy in it, just ignore them, because when I see it, I'll delete them. So you have no place in this classroom if you're going to be disruptive. Like I said, it's for everybody to learn something and to share their views on stuff. There's going to be a lot of different things, actually. It's not just the transgender thing. What was so odd about that, I can talk a little bit about that now. Yeah, about a month ago, I was on YouTube, and I found some videos that people were checking out celebrities and saying that they were the opposite sex of what they were pretending to be. Well, that's all part of acting also, you would say. It was really interesting. And so I thought, okay, I learned how to do it. They check out the skeletal structures, how that you read the bodies. People don't know how to do that. They really don't, and that's what you got to learn to do. And hopefully through this class that you will learn how to do that. It's very important that you can tell a real male from a real female, actually. I believe it is. Anyway, I thought, okay, now that I know how to do it, I'm going to try this on my favorite actors and my favorite musicians, ones that I love very dearly and enjoy watching. And what I found was very upsetting to me. It wasn't because there was one or two, but it seems like almost every celebrity, musician, sports person, model, anybody that you see on your TV set, even small-time actors, are transgendered. And I asked, well, why is this? I didn't say that these people are stupid or this is just nonsense. I said, why is this? And it took me back to, well, who owns the industry? It must have something to do with the entertainment industry. And I thought a bit, and it's like, well, who runs this world? Who owns this world? And a lot of people will say the name Satan. Now, when we say Satan, that means the adversary. This is a being. It's a different race than what we are. And I will tell you who that being is in a little bit in another video here. I'm going to tell you a few names and a few people and stuff. You don't have to believe anything I say, but maybe it might make it easier to try to put you on a one track instead of all these many different roads that everything has got everybody going on. Um, yeah. Yeah, so it's like, okay, this Satan figure, a lot of people will say this, that he is running the world. I have found out that, yes, I do believe this to be so. I am not religious by any means, but I have found a lot of stuff that has happened to me is connected to a lot of things that you may find in the Bible. A lot of the work in the Bible is correct, but it has been corrupted and a lot of things have changed because of the other hands that it's fallen into. But I know where you can go to find the real message where it first started all together over 450,000 years ago. And I told myself, for people to understand this, one, why is this happening and why is this person doing this? Okay. Well, you know the world's a right mess and stuff, and it's like, well, yeah. So it's the person running it. It's what it is. And he does have a reason for doing everything. But in order for me to do this transgender thing, I can't just pull up a picture and chop it up and whatever like most people do. I said, damn, I'm going to have to go back to the beginning of time and explain that to people first. You'll understand what I'm talking about when I do this, and it's not going to be too long-winded. I'm going to try to, I've got it really short, and if you want to know more about what I'm talking about, I'll put you in the right direction, and you can go off and read about, I'll tell you where you can find the information, where I found the information. All of this little stuff has been about like 2 years in the making. And this transgender thing has happened about a month ago. And it's like, damn, all this stuff is all together. Everything that I have learned over 20 years has now fallen in my lap. And yes, the hypnosis thing is in there also. I'm a hypnotherapist too. And it's in there as well. And all of this stuff fits together, believe it or not. It may seem crazy, but not when I get done with telling you the story. Yeah, you're going to see how amazing this is. Perhaps I am a spiritual master. Perhaps I'm the only one that could put all this stuff together. But then again, we can learn together. I don't know everything. And perhaps you might come up with some things that I don't know, and we can find other answers together. I'm all for that. I just absolutely love a debate. I love intellectual people, and let's see how your brain works. And so I guess that's it for this video, and the next one we will go into In the Beginning is what I call it. And In the Beginning it's going to explain basically where we came from and why this stuff is happening. Okay then. There you go.